Anyway, now that you see me, let me give you a little something. You know, I'm not giving it to you. I'm giving it to you. I'm getting it from others. I'm getting it from others, and particularly Anthony Tyler. Yeah, he gave you this. He made this mine to work with what I'm about to tell you, to share with you, to give you here for Halloween 2016. You know, to know more about it, go to Anthony Tyler, The Last American Vagabond website. What's going on here? I'll tell you what's going on. 21st Century Demonology. What you're about to get is just part 1. Esoteric Sciences, Fortran, Cryptozoologyn, and beyond. This has been made available to me and to you more as recent as September 21st, 2016. All credit goes to, as I said, Anthony Tyler. He's got a website. The Last American Vagabond website. www.thelastAmericanVagabond. Alright. Let me just give myself a little more comfortable here. You know, it's part of the celebration here. Halloween. Alright. Listen, what the hell is a demon? Huh? Is it a red-skinned, horned pygmy that sits on everybody's left shoulder? Consistently trying to muffle out the angel opposite it? Huh? Could a demon be considered poltergeist with strange and unusual malevolent, or should we say malevolent phenomena haunt an entire house or building? What about the strange things that people continuously report to see around the world, like pale children with black eyes knocking on their doors in the dead of night, canine cryptids, much like reports of sleeping paralysis or even aliens? However accurate any repertoire of reports may be, it is an entirely different matter, gauged on an individual basis. But the persistence and broad range of reports throughout culture and history suggest an underlying phenomenology that is somehow physically tangible to some degree. You know, the real question is, what mode of expression, the kind of phenomenology is operating under, and what parallels can be drawn from their cut. You know, it is actually quite frustrating to hear an individual talk about a Loch Ness monster or an alien abduction, and yet have literally no concept of classical demonology and general folklore. But how does any of this fit with classical demonology? At first, you know, you gotta hit the ball again. First, you gotta get there from a walk. When at first, it may seem like an unbelievable forced parallel and one that entails an overly negative tone. But the synthesis is actually quite seamless. And it's a body of research that has been contributed to throughout the span of human culture. As far as extraterrestrials are concerned, the U.S. intelligence community has already determined this demonological approach to extraterrestrials and ideas like ufology are simply one marked resurgence of this phenomena within the collective consciousness, and is nothing particularly new. In fact, it might not even be from beyond Earth. Before continuing, however, it is important to supply a historically accurate definition of demonology, which is an entirely occult philosophy, since the subject inherently draws from the pantheons of entities throughout any and all religious doctrine. Essentially, it is a being that is considered sentient in the physical dimension, but its state of free manifestation is non-physical. Then this is considered under the study of demonology, whether they be good or bad, positive or negative. Generally speaking, the hierarchical gods of a doctrine like Jehovah and Allah are not considered as part of demonology. Whereas hierarchical gods of other doctrines like Shiva, Shakti, or Isis, if you insist, Isis, okay. I say Isis, you say Isis, alright. Whatever system, alright. As I was saying, or Isis, often commonly seen in this classical field of study. This is likely due to the cultural clash that has rampant between the East and the West, especially regarding religions, and this trend can be seen all throughout demonology. The subject itself is an incredibly tedious and complex network of ideas, where there are a multitude of different cultural phases that mean the same thing, and different interpretations of the synthesis of all these different ideas. When the Catholic Church began assimilating other outlier pagan ideas in order to engulf them, demon became demon, and since anything equated to paganism was considered evil, any diamond that a pagan spoke of was always a demon, which as a result became the personification of Satan's henchmen. Yes, yes, yes. Despite the Catholic Church's incredibly bigoted approach to metaphysics and early communion, they still did wonders for the subject of demonology as a study. Not only was the Catholic Church, perhaps the first group to begin classifying the vast array of heathen entities on a large scale, they were some of the first to begin employing this type of demonological shamanism on a large scale, as well with exorcism. You know, if people want to make the argument that the demons of classical exorcism were people with massive mental disorders, then fine. It's a terrible explanation for traditional reports of levitation, etc. But the Catholic Church is a propaganda matrix anyway. So this will merely be a side note. What can be clearly demonstrated by the Catholics' approach to demonology, however, is the aforementioned parallels, as it were, between it and traditional shamanism. Little known to be shamanism, by the way. Sorry for the space in between spoken and prepared. I don't want to use the wrong words, but you see it in my eyes. Do you see why? Huh? Do you see the light there? Huh? Right. From the lights. I have gotten a little old. I certainly have. I've been here a long time. The human body, the reptilian body, the mammal body, the Tyrannosaurus. Our bodies automatically deteriorate, but not necessarily. Our understanding of what is, of where it's at, of how, what's up, what's going on, and various other points of concern. The shamanism, little known to be psychedelic Buddhist hippies, deadhead types, New Age half-brothers, Those are the shamans of today. Shamanism not only embodies the core of ancient medicine and transcendental healing, but also embodies the depth of possession, mind control, indoctrination, and curses or hexes. Quite a load, huh? This starting contrast within shamanism is best understood with the real history of psychedelic chemicals throughout culture, which can be seen here. The bare bones of the discussion at hand boils down to white magic and black magic. It boils down to transcendental magic or abysmal magic. Or it boils down simply to the synthesis of natural law or the perversion of it. Thus, the history of demonology proves a unique and useful tool in understanding the energetic exchange of these two different spectrums, and thus elaborates a quintessential link between man and the divine, for both the light and the dark perspectives. To further explain this point, a quote is taken from Arthur Waite's The Book of Ceremonial Magic. It was written in 1913, and I quote, "Each of the occult sciences was, however, liable to that species of abuse which is technically but fantastically known as black magic. Astrology, or the appreciation of the celestial influences in their operation upon the nature and life of man, could be perverted in the composition of malefic talismans by means of those influences." Now that's very simply stated, is it not? Esoteric medicine, which consists in the application of occult forces to the healing of disease in man, and included a traditional knowledge of the medicinal properties resident in some substances disregarded by ordinary pharmacy. One produced in its malpractice the secret science of poisoning and the destruction of health, reason, or life by unseen forces. The transmutation of metals by alchemy resulted in their sophistication in like manner. Divination, or the possessors of by which lucidity was supposed to be induced, became the base into various forms of witchcraft and ceremonial magic, into dealing with devils. White ceremonial magic is, by the terms of the definition, an attempt to communicate with good spirits for a good, or at least an innocent purpose. An innocent purpose. Black magic is the attempt to communicate with evil spirits for an evil or for any purpose. And that comes from the source. The source. The source for the word, huh? Yes. You know, as an afternote, you know, there is obviously some considerable argument amongst which kinds of entities are light or dark. But this series will show that the argument is unnecessary in the face of empirical deduction and scientific reason. You know, and of course, an educated discussion of superstition, folklore, and the paranormal would not be very educated if it did not propose and discuss scientific data suggesting a fundamental nature which bears a sense of true understanding. You know, an understanding that's not based on superstition or hearsay, and is reminiscent of them both. You know, taking case, researcher Michael Talbot. He's the one that put out the holographic universe. It's a more contemplative. Every day you can get it at you know, what is it, books, Amazon books or whatever. It's not like you got to go back into it anywhere. It's right here for you today. The holographic universe. You know, and as a fundamental and outright scientifically empirical approach to metaphysical and paranormal phenomena, a notion that is based on the advanced mathematics that produced the modern day hologram. You know, as modern study penetrates deeper into brain sciences, computer sciences, and physics, the context for the esoteric and metaphysical language that ancient man used begins to grow exponentially. And it merely takes some aggregated analysis of these new discoveries to learn this. You know, the human brain has been found to be a biological radio transmitter of Hertz waves, which is the same electromagnetic phenomena of the Earth's magnetic field. And scientific study has already done a great deal in showing the relationship that human brains have to the Earth's field. Suffice it to say that it is simply a matter of common physics for the human brain to interact with self-considered signals of electromagnetic frequency within the Earth's atmosphere. You know, whether or not these phenomena come directly from Earth, it can at least be said to stem from the type of transmission of electromagnetic fields of the planet. If this sounds far-fetched to someone, you know, then they simply do not understand the esoteric nature of the microcosm and the macrocosm, and the science that has gone into elaborating the conjunction. The only real question left here is whether or not the human brain projects these informational signals as a hallucinogenic animation of the singles informational data, or whether these signals are carriers for a degree of self-contained intelligence. This as well will be one of the primary focuses of this series. Mind you, I have the trivialities here to contend with in the superficiality of the task at hand. I want to, we got to close this part 1. Let's call it, there's a part 2 that's coming up, part 3 we're working on. Part 2 is already ready for you. I'm not ready for it. When I'm ready for it, I shall give it to you. So, to conclude this first part, this first video, in a series of probably 3, maybe even 4, I like to say that ultimately, this type of paranormal, metaphysical, transdimensional, plane phenomena, like demonology, as we're referring to, is honestly an undeniable facet of the inner human experience within culture and society. You know, regarding this notion as false is fundamentally unscientific by standards of empirical investigation. And the only thing actually false is the general brain understanding of these experiences. You know, especially in fields of studies such as this, the trivium and quadrivium methods of learning are absolutely essential in research, and furthermore, even under the strictest empirical investigations, and that's the types who will be led out in this series. You know, the unexplainable is equally undeniable. You know, from the Buddha, Mara, to Adam's, Lilith, and onward, it seems likely that everyone has a demon of some kind. Peace and love. Happy Halloween. Cosmic Charlie. Maybe not in maybe a little more in a... Anyway, so in a demonological place. God bless you all. And have a good Halloween, my friends, my love, my families, and everyone. All human beings. All right, peace and love. God be with you. Peace out. Adios.